federal and local authorities have conducted a series of raids in San Pedro, targeting members and also associates of the Mexican Mafia.
America, we just witnessed something that should have happened decades ago. Federal agents and LAPD just took down the leadership of the Rancho San Pedro gang, a 500-member criminal enterprise that has been terrorizing communities for over 50 years. We're talking about a multi-generational crime syndicate with direct ties to the Mexican Mafia that was running drugs, guns, extortion, and murder operations right under the nose of California's quote-unquote so-called leadership. But here's what's gonna make your blood boil. This gang has been operating since the 1970s, and it took until 2025 to finally cut off the head of this monster.
Today marks an important day in basically cutting off the head of the hydra of one of the most violent street gangs that has been terrorizing San Pedro for years.
What is up, guys? Tyson here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This operation is exactly what happens when you finally have leadership that prioritizes American citizens over political correctness, but it also exposes the complete failure of California's Democratic leadership for the past 5 decades. Let me break down what federal agents just dismantled. The Rancho San Pedro gang isn't just some neighborhood troublemakers. This is a sophisticated criminal corporation with 500 members that's been operating like a business since the 1970s. Think about that for a second. This gang has been destroying communities for over 50 years, while California politicians did absolutely nothing.
The LAPD, Homeland Security Investigations, and the FBI served search warrants at 17 locations early this morning, taking 8 of 13 men and women into custody, members of the Rancho San Pedro gang, or RSP. The other 5 were already in custody on state charges.
This wasn't some small-time operation either. When federal agents hit 17 locations across San Pedro and the harbor region, here's what they found: multiple firearms, ghost gun parts, that's untraceable weapons, fentanyl, that's poisoning and killing Americans every single day, and drug paraphernalia from distribution operations.
9 firearms were seized, along with the tools to make ghost guns and drugs like fentanyl, methamphetamine, and marijuana. Officials say some of the people arrested also engaged in robbery and extortion to make money for the gang.
But here's the part that should absolutely infuriate you. This gang operates like a corporation, complete with board of directors, except for their board is the Mexican Mafia, and their business model is terror, drugs, and violence. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that California politicians don't want to address. These criminals were literally paying taxes to the Mexican Mafia for protection. We're talking about a sophisticated criminal network where gang leaders in prison were issuing orders for drug distribution, firearms transactions, extortion, robbery, and even murder contracts.
Some would use orders from prison on behalf of the Mexican Mafia. These orders include the collection of taxes, drug distribution, firearms, transfers, and decisions about who held what positions within the RSP. Others committed or conspired to commit acts of violence, including murder.
Here's what should make your blood boil. Gang leaders were issuing orders from prison. Think about that for a second. These criminals were supposedly being punished by being locked up, but they were still running their criminal enterprise from behind bars. This proves that our prison system has completely been compromised.
Authorities allege the Rancho San Pedro gang has an estimated 500 members, dates back to the 1970s, and is controlled by the Mexican Mafia members incarcerated in state prison.
The Mexican Mafia doesn't just collect taxes from gangs, they provide protection, coordination, and strategic direction. This means San Pedro wasn't just dealing with local criminals, they were dealing with an international criminal network operating on American soil. 13 defendants are facing federal RICO charges. That's racketeering, influenced, and corruption organization. For those of you that don't know, RICO is what's used to take down organized crime families, cartels, and criminal enterprises. The fact that they're using RICO tells you everything you need to know about how sophisticated and dangerous this operation was.
They're accused of being an organized crime criminal enterprise. Rancho San Pedro gang leadership, according to investigators, is who was taken into custody this morning.
These aren't just gang members. They were running a criminal corporation with drug trafficking operations, extortion rackets, firearm trafficking, murder conspiracies, assault conspiracies, and robbery operations.
It is unusual for a RICO indictment in an LAPD-led investigation, but it sends a powerful message to those organized criminal gangs that we will use all resources available to address the criminal element in the city, especially here in the San Pedro area.
District Attorney Nathan Holcomb called this cutting off the head of Hydra, and that is exactly right. But here's the question that nobody's asking. How did this Hydra get so big in the first place? This gang has been operating since the 1970s. That means that they've been terrorizing San Pedro families for over 50 years, while California's Democratic leadership did absolutely nothing. Multiple generations of families have lived in fear because politicians were more concerned with being quote-unquote progressive than protecting innocent people.
I do hope that this investigation also serves as a warning to anybody who may be interested in filling the gap for this particular gang, especially to our young kids, who unfortunately we're still seeing a rash of young people being sucked into the gang life.
For over 50 years, families in San Pedro have had to live with children who couldn't even play outside safely, business owners paying extortion money, residents afraid to walk in their own streets, drug dealers operating openly in neighborhoods, and violence that could erupt at any moment.
Do you think it makes a difference?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
I mean, I do feel safer, but I've been all my life.
All of this could have been prevented if California's leadership had prioritized public safety over political correctness decades ago. Notice who actually took action here. Federal agents working with LAPD, not California state government, not the progressive politicians who've been running Los Angeles into the ground. It took federal intervention to finally address the problem that's been festering for decades.
But the even better news is that the FBI, the HSI, the Los Angeles Police Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, the California Department of Justice, and our other federal, state, and local law enforcement partners are not yet finished.
This is exactly what President Trump has been talking about. When local and state leadership fails to protect their citizens, the federal government has to step in and do the job that they won't.
We are relentless. It might take weeks, months, or years, but these folks will ultimately be brought to justice.
A multi-year investigation culminates in a pre-dawn takedown.
The timing is no coincidence. This operation happened under the renewed focus on law enforcement. After years of the defund the police rhetoric and soft on crime policies, we're finally seeing real action against organized criminal enterprises. Listen to what residents are saying now that this criminal organization has been dismantled.
Growing up, yes, they were an issue. Ever since I've been back, I've seen a change in the community for sure. And especially with this going on, I feel even better, greater change is going to happen.
This resident grew up in San Pedro and joined the military to get away from gangs. Now he's moved back after 10 years and can see the positive change happening in his community.
I'm all for it, taking down. I don't believe in gang violence. I don't believe in them selling illegal drugs. So I'm all for it.
This is what happens when law enforcement is allowed to do their job without political interference. Communities can finally breathe again. America, the San Pedro gang takedown is a victory for law enforcement and the communities that have suffered under this criminal organization for decades. But it's also an indictment of the failed policies that allowed this situation to develop in the first place. When you prioritize criminals over victims, when you focus on social justice over actual justice, when you handcuff law enforcement instead of criminals, this is what you get. Criminal enterprises so powerful they require federal RICO prosecution to stop. The good news is that we have leadership that's willing to take on these criminal organizations. The bad news is that there's probably dozens of similar operations across the country that have allowed to grow unchecked for decades. San Pedro is just one example of what's happening across the country. For years, Democratic-controlled cities have allowed criminal organizations to operate with impunity while focusing on social justice initiatives instead of actual justice. It's time to clean house, and San Pedro is just the beginning. The message is clear. The days of tolerating criminal organizations are over. Whether you're a street gang, a cartel, or an international crime syndicate, if you're operating in American communities, you're going to face the full extent of federal law enforcement. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.